Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today we're going to go over the 2.6.2 patch notes in a bit more detail and talk about the changes and some additions there as well. This patch is primarily dedicated to bug fixes and quality of life, with a continued focus on Star Marine, Arena Commander, as well as getting the Megamap in and the Drake Buccaneer in and fixing some of the flight issues. Multiplayer Megamap is now enabled for Arena Commander and Star Marine maps for multiplayer and single player. This allows for much quicker loading times when switching between maps or going from one game mode or another. Although in for single player and multiplayer modes now, it is not enabled for the mini persistent universe at the moment, so that's Crusader and Area 18. The Megamap is vital to the seamless nature of Star Citizen and works in conjunction with object containers to stream in areas and objects that you need at the time rather than preloading data that you do not. It eliminates the preload, mostly anyway. Persistent universe requires this functionality, but the current one we currently have, the persistent universe in 2.6.2, doesn't have the backend for it as far as I'm aware, so we should see that in the next major update for 2.7 or the 3.0 patch based on whatever they go for next. The next major update, whatever that is. Serialized variables is a network optimization replacing some of the original aspects of the CryEngine's net serialized calls for handling data and relaying information between clients, only updating the server with data that is changed rather than the previous method, which updates everything even if the server had not changed it. It's a considerably more lightweight means of handling update messaging on networks, reducing the risk of data being lost in caching or other processes, effectively reducing lag. The Buccaneer is also in. This is Drake's answer to one-seater dogfighters, and they're now flight ready. With an impressive amount of firepower, the Drake Buccaneer comes equipped with two size 1 9 series longswords on its wingtips, two size 3 gimbals on its underwings in the form of badgers, two pylons for customizable missile loadouts, as well as a size 4 hardpoint on a turret on top of this ship. A standard that comes with two tarantula ballistic cannons, but it can be swapped for a size 4 weapon. The ship is fast, agile, and a huge punch when it comes to firepower, and it can have some great options if you change that size 4 hardpoint into a big size 4 weapon or whatever you want to do with it. It can't take a lot of hits though, but it fits nicely into the pantheon of dogfighters as competitive in some situations, even with Sabres and Super Hornets, especially in squadron battle. They have re-enabled support for TrackIR. TrackIR allows you to have a more immersive experience by tracking your head movements via a camera, giving you a 6 degrees of freedom experience. Some players use it to aim with gimbals with their face, looking around their cockpit for more freedom. It's very useful for more visibility or to aim, or for lots of different functions, but it does give you some solid immersion, and it works while you're on foot as well. Functionality, as I said, has been re-enabled for 2.6.2 with TrackIR, but it's only basic. It will have better support in the future. You can find out more about TrackIR in the link's description. Noobify has done a very good video on that as well. Actually, I'll link that there as well. Resolutions. They've added support for very wide screens, 21:9, and appropriate screen resolutions. They've also fixed loads of UI issues previously experienced with things like that as well. Arena Commander and some ship balance. So there have been a lot of smaller quality of life fixes to Arena Commander. They've added the Pirate Swarm game mode into the leaderboards. They've added MFDs to the Scythe and Glaive to allow pilots certain information. MFDs, multifunction displays, will get updated and more functional for ships as Item System 2.0 comes online more fully, and lots of these stuff that are placeholders will become more functional as the game goes on. Helmet radars no longer stay active when you spawn a ship in. When you spawn in the ship. Various lobby fixes for public and private matches as well. In race mode, checkpoint numbering now starts at 0, and the announcer no longer states when you're going in the wrong direction after the fourth checkpoint in each lap. There's exploits been fixed with Wreck getting awarded to you when you haven't really done any form of participation. They've continued to work on balance for flight and weapons as well. They've increased ammo carried on the Gatling weapons. Pips on some of the ships and weapons have been fixed, but it is still an ongoing problem with some other ships and weapon configurations, where pips are slightly off, making it incredibly hard to aim. It is a known issue, but as with anything in any patch, reporting issues on the issue council or adding to reports that are already there really does help, as well as prioritising things that you think need to be prioritised. Go to the issue council, check that out. In a lot of situations, toggling your pips from lag to lead or lead to lag in the game menu does fix that issue, though it's not ideal for some players. Star Marine and FPS changes and fixes. There have been a number of changes to make Star Marine and the first-person shooter combat feel better. They've added a plus 25 headshot bonus reward for killing people with a projectile shot to the head. The last stand scoreboard now shows the number of control points captured. Enemy players attempting to enter a spawn room will now be killed by the barriers there to prevent people effectively spawn camping. They've temporarily disabled the ability to go prone or melee in Star Marine at the moment. There were too many exploits. They will re-enable those features in the future once they have got them working as intended. Last Stand now requires 6 players to start instead of 8. Players should no longer matchmake into games with less than half of the game time remaining. That is actually a major thing, which I think will help people a lot get less stressed. When you jump into a game that's just about to finish and you've lost, you get upset. On-foot radars now orientate players to the player, not the ground. They fixed an issue with wreck that would not be awarded after a set of matches. That is now awarded. Adjustments have been made to cooking grenades, so that you can hear the audio of a grenade being cooked effectively. Grenades also leave your hand and travel much more reliably. They fixed issues with the Medipen while sprinting. It would cause you to lose your weapon in some situations. Spawn points have been adjusted in Station Damien and Echo 11. They've moved Terminal A on Echo 11 upstairs in the last stand game mode. They fixed an issue where gravity was not properly set up in Station Damien on the landing pad C. They've created a new chase cam with no rotation controls for Star Marine gamer modes. Sprint can no longer be used while stowing, unstowing or swapping weapons. And they've removed the cycle weapon from the mouse wheel for default mapping, so that you can still enable functionality if you want. Some general fixes as well, animation fixes for ships and characters, lots and lots of them. There's been various client and server crashes that have been fixed, as well as disconnection issues. There's been audio tweaks and fixes and improvements to ships and weapons, all the audio stuff. Some known issues though: clients sometimes experience a crash after going idle 5 or more minutes in Crusader at the moment. When players select Crusader or Arc Corp, there's sometimes a slight delay of 1 to 2 minutes before the match kind of gets them into an instance, because they are spinning up servers in that region. There are issues that you can't mount a size 414 missile mount. Ship loadouts sometimes are not working properly on the landing pads in the persistent universe, and I see less desync issues, but there are still instances of desync throughout the game. Performance. The game does feel sharper and snappier in the way that it plays, especially in combat for FPS and ship. So some players do seem to be having much better frame rates, or others are experiencing stutters and spikes. I suggest looking at my performance guide and updating your GFX drivers, as well as installing Star Citizen to an SSD if possible. Optimization for the game continues to improve, but it is good to remember that it is pretty unoptimized overall at this stage, and as some changes get made, sometimes that can damage performance on certain systems, while make them better on others. You do need to go the extra mile if you want it working well, even with powerful systems. So the persistent universe frames have improved for me, but remain relatively low compared to Star Marine and Arena Commander. These are bound by the server and CPU and network code as well, so just bear that in mind. Stability-wise for me, though, I haven't experienced a crash yet, which for Star Citizen is a rarity. So, 2.6.2 is a relatively minor patch, but it did have some important changes. Backend and improvement stuff with the Megamap and serialized variables is good indication that we're not going to have to wait too long for the next major patch, which will at least give us some tangible gameplay features. With the Buccaneer now in-game and tweaks and fixes to balance, we should hopefully also see a little bit more varied or different meta when it comes to ship combat in Arena Commander. The fight balance that I disliked in 2.6.1 now seems a lot more fun and playable. Star Citizen is a long way from being a game, but it is fun, and your opinions and feedback matter. With that in mind, every month I give away a ship. For April, I'm going to be giving away a Drake Buccaneer, because it's now flyable, so why wouldn't I? To a random commenter on my channel. You must be a subscriber to my channel on the YouTubes, so please tell me what you think of the Buccaneer. Do you like the 6.2.2 2.6.2, whatever patch it's called, do you think we're going to get a partial 3.0 patch with a 2.7 release if they decide to do that? And if you've got any questions about Squadron 42, Star Citizen, and the future of the game, or any questions at all, that I can put to devs at BrisbonCon on the 22nd of April up in Manchester, Radisson Blue Hotel, then please do that as well, because I will ask relevant people when I'm there, and it will get made into a video later. As we get more information on the next patch release, I will also update, but you can see the latest info on the patches and their timeframes on my makeshift roadmap, as well as the Star Citizen schedule report, links in the description. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me, as does the love on the Patreon. Thank you so much for that, guys, by the way. Like, your support on Patreon allows me to eat every month. Thank you. And buying t-shirts with my face on also helps. Take care, guys, and I will see you in the verse.